is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where intolerance is okay, as long as it's intolerance toward weak-minded attitudes that keep you from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and lifestyle. You want to get after it in 2018. You got resolution going on there. You want to fish more. You want to hike more. You want to hunt more. You want to take care. You want to be more creative. Do it. It's the attitude. You don't have to be the best at it, but just have the attitude that you want to get after it and be around people who also want to get after it as well. I'm going to talk with two buddies of mine, Zach Gann and Cody Lee. They were up here on a bear hunt in September, but we're going to talk about their Coues deer hunt in Arizona. They just got back from a couple weeks ago because it sounds warm. And that sounds nice. So we're going to talk some deer hunting down in Arizona with two of my buddies from California. That is coming up next, episode 23 of the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast. Brought to you by LMT. Go to lmtlifestyle.com. We are low on some of the stocks, almost completely sold out of the women's racerback, but there's still some good gear there before we restock. Check that out. Also, go check out the Mediocre Alaskan.com for content and columns and features and videos and informational things. Getting a lot of feedback from the Steve Shannon Interior Alaska caribou hunting list and all the stuff that he brings some good gear. Going to have him back on. We're going to talk more about gear and bags and all that stuff. So episode 23. Here we go. Coming up. Coues deer, Arizona.
You're going to have to be quiet. You're going to have to be quiet, all right? You didn't shoot nothing.
One day you can bring Cam up there. How old is Cam now?
He is 2.5.
2.5.
And pretty much every day he says, I want to shoot bear. I want to shoot deer. I want to shoot anything.
So you're indoctrinating him. You're being a good dad and telling him how things really are?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Does it scare you at all growing up in or he's going to grow up in California and the way things might be in another 14, 16 years?
Yeah, it's kind of getting bad over here, but hopefully he's raised right.
Yeah. Well, that whole raised right by what standards? It's kind of funky. But
my standards,
your standards, yeah. You're a Neanderthal, right? You're a Neanderthal. Yeah. Cruelty to animals. You see all that stuff on Instagram with that girl who was bullied by animal rights people because she was posing with a picture of an animal she'd shot?
Yeah, I see some stuff about that. I think Cameron Haynes posted about it.
Yeah, I was talking with some of my kids about that. So, well, technically, yeah, if you're looking at the rules or whatever of conduct, any video or picture that's cruel to animals, well, it's you killed an animal and you're holding its flesh, which could qualify as that. But if you're going to eat that, then it's a weird, man. Who knows in the next 3, 4, 5 years, maybe 10, hopefully more. But gosh, it's a weird thing, man.
Yeah, it's
crazy to think about it. Everything's cruelty to animals.
It is. The thing that I wonder about is how many people who are jumping on that same sort of bandwagon who aren't vegan, who are, if you go to, you get your organic stuff from Trader Joe's or wherever, you just outsource the killing of that chicken. But I don't think getting fussy back at them is really the solution, because then it's just, you're fighting back and forth. It's like
yeah, you need to not fight about it. You kind of just got to educate them a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's if they saw how things are, then I think they wouldn't be such, or as judgmental. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
I get it.
We try to be as ethical as possible. We don't try to hurt the animals. We don't want them to suffer and stuff. We try to make it nice and easy and ethical when we kill them.
I think that's the vast majority of hunters too. And there's so much land that exists for deer, antelope, moose, elk, whatever, and it's hunters that have helped conserve so much of that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
For hunters, then you wouldn't have a lot of that space. And it's, I don't know, man. But, so talk to me about Arizona.
It was a trip, that's for sure.
Deer, private land, public land?
A little bit of both, really.
Yeah, Arizona's like 80% public, but then there are like places that are deeded out that only certain people have access to. And my uncle has that mountain lion guide service, so he kind of has access to a lot of private stuff that other people don't, just because he is hunting mountain lions on those properties. So people allow him to hunt deer and other stuff as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know that was your uncle. I went to the site and I saw that there was mountain lion stuff. Where is that?
Benson, Arizona. It is about 45 minutes southeast of Tucson.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
right off the 10 before you. Okay.
Yeah, the 10 is like, you can see the 10 right in front of their house. Like they live on the frontage road of the 10.
Nice. Huh. Interesting.
Yep, it's down there 30 minutes from border of Mexico.
Huh. Interesting. One of my students was down in Mexico like 2 weeks ago, and they were in like an adjacent ranch to where Steve Ranella was doing a Coues deer hunt.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So your uncle doesn't guide Coues deer though? He just does the mountain lions?
Yeah, he just does mountain lions, and then he has kids that hunt and stuff, so he just helps them get animals, and he has like 10 Coues deer mounted and stuff, so he likes hunting Coues deer more than muleys.
Yeah. Are there muleys around there?
Oh yeah, we're stalking some muleys and stuff too, but he feels, most people don't, but he feels like he can hunt Coues deer better than he can muleys.
Huh. Well, I guess they're pretty notorious for being tough to get on.
Yeah, the gray ghosts.
Yeah. Did you have a muley tag too?
What's that?
Did
A
you have
muley tag? It is just any deer statewide over the counter archery.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that different for rifle or is that straight?
It's archery only.
Any deer.
Any deer.
That was what, $300?
Yep, I believe it was exactly 300.
300. And then what was the license?
It's like 120 or something right in there. We have that anyways because we apply for elk hunts, so we have that license already.
Gotcha. Dude, you're full on in it now.
Oh yeah.
When I lived down there and we were coaching together, hunting was not really it wasn't happening for me either. I think I drew the D3 through 5 tag, which is...
That's pretty much anybody can get that one.
Yeah, it was like 30,000 tags for that 3-week season, and the success rate was 6% or something.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, I saw 2 does when I was in the weekends that I went out there, the 2 years that I did it, and I saw 2 does.
That's a lot of deer.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, this is going to happen. There's going to be a buck, but they were just so terrified, and I was terrified. I was wearing as much comfort orange as I could. You just try to drive and get away from people and past people. You can't. Every turn is just more people.
Yep. A lot of road hunters.
Yeah. We do the road hunting thing up here, but as you saw, it's a little bit different.
Oh, you still got to hike a little bit.
Yeah, got to hike a little bit, and then it's still a little bit, the resource is much more plentiful.
Yeah.
And you can get that. But.
Yeah, that's kind of similar how we hunted Arizona. There's the properties we're on, there's dirt roads, and my uncles kind of know where those roads are compared to where the animals are and stuff. So we can drive somewhat, but it's still cactuses and bushes and mesquite trees, and you're still going through some nasty stuff sometimes, and up and down and through canyons. And so it's not easy, even though there are roads and you can get relatively close. Sometimes.
Would you say that it was louder down there or up here when we were going for blacktail around here? Because down there everything is very, very sun scorched and very brittle and very loud.
Yeah,
but it's mushy, squishy, but it's still very, very loud. And there's so much brush. Which one was more difficult to stay quiet?
Yeah, I think it's a different kind of noise. They both had their, in Arizona, it's real dry, crunchy, lots of rocks. And in Alaska, we were trying not to slip, and it was a different kind of noise we were making. I think that Alaska was probably tougher
getting through the.
Yeah, just because how slippery it was and steep. It's hard to be quiet when you're going up and down that slippery and steep of terrain. Well, Arizona, we had a little bit less trouble, but it was still rough in Arizona just because the rock and the cactus, and it doesn't make it easy on you.
No, what you grow up with, kind of you become familiar with, and you're comfortable with it. So when I went down to Arizona, it was so weird doing hikes because you can see where you're going. You can see those lines and you can pick your way to where you're going to end up. But I was just terrified of rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Whereas when my friends from Arizona come up to Alaska and they just get locked in the woods and you can't see anything out, you can't see where you're going to end up, you can't pick a line to pick your way up the mountain. You're totally just swallowed up by the forest. And then they're terrified of bears. But I don't have much of a fear of bears because you've been around black bears. Now, brown bears is a different story.
Yeah.
But you've been around black bears and they don't want to start any sort of trouble. But rattlesnakes, man, they just are out there. Did you see any of those?
No, they're more out in the summer. You don't really have to worry about them in the wintertime. Like, I asked my cousins and stuff, hey, you guys seen any rattlesnakes lately? And no, they haven't seen any. And I mean, I think it's just kind of when it gets hot, they come out, but they're all tucked away right now.
Yeah. For someone like myself who has an irrational fear of rattlesnakes, I would still that question. All right, so now, so you're there, you're down there, you got your archery tag. Walk me through because you got the Coues deer pretty quick, didn't you?
That was day 3. We also had archery javelina tags too for that area that we were in.
Okay. Walk me through the Coues deer. What happened on that day for both you guys, and then we'll talk about the javelina. And just so you know, I currently have the Steve Ranella down in Mexico from season 6 when they were Coues deer hunting and javelina hunting. Yeah. So that's in the background as like a visual. So walk me through your guys' hunts.
Well, Zach's was first, so he can take it from here.
Yeah, so we get up to a high point. It's what we do in the mornings. We try to get some elevation so we get a vantage point, and we glass in the morning. And we found the first Coues buck, which ended up being my buck, and we watched him till he bedded down in the morning, and we got a game plan together, and I went after him and worked around the back of a mountain, and we left Devin, which is Cody's uncle. We left him up on the mountain, and he glassed and watched the whole thing happen. I went around the back of this mountain, came over the top, and worked my way down. Had a decent wind, and
took your shoes off.
Took my boots off just because it's so noisy out there, and that was pretty rough on the feet. I've taken my boots off in California, and it's nothing like Arizona. Arizona really is pretty rough, so that forced me to go slow.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
I would not have done that because there's rattlesnake. I would have woken up and it would have bitten me in the foot.
Yeah, but I don't think I could have been quiet enough to get in on this buck with my boots on. It's just so loud with that shale rock and stuff. But I got my boots off, and it took me about 2 hours to do the last 150 yards on this deer. Ooh. And yeah, it was pretty slow and monotonous, but got within 18 yards of him while he was in his bed, and I waited him out, and he ended up standing up and giving me a 18-yard broadside shot, and I let the arrow fly. I was confident it was a good shot, and it ended up hitting a bush that was in front of me and deflecting the arrow, and I missed him by a couple feet, and that was pretty rough. And the buck took off, but he didn't know I was there because I'd gone in so slow. I don't think he had any idea I was there, and he took off, and he stopped at 35 yards, and I knocked a new arrow and ranged him and settled in and put an arrow right through the lungs. The buck only made it probably 20 yards up the hill, and he died.
How was it in between shots? I mean, most people practice, your one shot and make the first shot count.
Yeah.
How was it having to knock the arrow and stay calm enough to, if it's a rifle and things get Western, you start popping things off.
Yeah.
But with the bow, there's so much more concentration that goes into it. So what was did you have like a mantra or, okay, rebreathe and retain your focus? How did you go between shots and make a great one on the second one?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that after the first shot, I thought I'd made a perfect shot on him, but so I was kind of confused that I didn't hit him. And it took me a couple seconds to realize that I'd missed, and I had to calm down again because your nerves go crazy and your adrenaline's spiking, and I had to calm myself down again and rearrange the deer. And I actually had to watch him for a minute or so that even made the anticipation build even more. But you just gotta tell yourself to stay calm, and you got to make a good shot. So it ended up working out, and I put the arrow where it needed to go, and he didn't make it but 20 yards and piled up. So
nice.
It worked out good.
You're shooting a Hoyt, right?
Yeah, shoot the Hoyt Carbon Defiant 34, and it's a good bow, and I practice with it a lot. Shoot every day, and we practice for a lot longer shots than that, just to make sure we're prepared for a 35-yard shot. We shoot out to 100 yards, and a 35-yard shot. It's hard to imagine missing that.
I get Snapchats of your shots.
Yeah.
I was shooting I have a PSE Stinger, and just kind of a lower grade introduction, a couple $100, just to see if it's about, see what the bow hunting thing is about. And took a deer with it. I like it a lot, but I'm in that. When I started fly fishing, I got the really cheap starter kit, and then I graduated to like the best bang for the buck thing, and then I got really into, hey, premium brand, this is the way to go, and you can notice the difference. And so I'm starting to get to the point where, what if I do get a premium type bow, and I'm looking at Hoyts, and I'm looking at the prices, and Jesse Knock was telling me of how much he loves his Hoyt and how he notices the difference, and I'm really scared to pull one of those because I know that I won't have a choice in the matter. I will have to buy it. I was shooting my PSE today, and I thought, man, this is nice. It's fine. It's all I know. But should I go down that road? And man, they're expensive, but they're worth it if you buy it right. There's a lot of things you don't even know about until you get it. So
yeah. My first bow was that PSE Stinger as well, and I shot well enough with it. I shot that out to 100 yards as well. But I love this Hoyt too. I have the same bow and shooting 83 pounds with that thing, and I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny, the new technology. My last bow that I had was a Matthews Helium, and that was a top of the line bow a few years ago, and I shot that in 70 pounds, and the difference in technology now. I shoot this Hoyt, and it's probably 82, 83 pounds, and it's easier to draw and it's smoother to shoot than my 70-pound Matthews. So the technology makes a big difference.
Yeah, you look at the technology and that PSE, if you were to look and compare that to something from the 70s or 80s or whatever, and what is this sorcery? What is this magic sort of bow that you have here? Yeah. Back to Native Americans that were using ligaments and tendons from animals for their bows.
Yeah.
So you look at a lower end bow, and the technology is so much better than it was, but compared to what it could be, you just feel a little bit compelled to at least investigate. So
yeah,
I know for sure that right now I'm fine. I'm going to stick with the PSE, but at some point my nerve will be tested, and I'm sure Jesse's going to put me over the edge there, or you guys with all your freaking photos and traveling around the world to well, good job, man. Good work on that Coues there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What about yours?
Yeah, so we left him, one of my uncles, and one of my little cousins. They were all going after that buck. And then so me, my Uncle Donnie, and his son Sterling all just kept going to glass some more bucks up. We seen like 10 whitetail bucks that day and only like 4 doe, which is kind of weird for supposed to be rut time. They're still kind of bachelored up, and we seen some nice ones. We tried bedding them down, but they'd either go around a canyon where we couldn't see them anymore, or just somewhere where we lost them. So it was kind of getting later in the day. He had come back. Zach and my uncle and other cousin had come back, and they're going to skin his out. And so we were going to keep looking, and it was getting later in the day where nothing was around anymore. We kind of knew where a couple were, but we couldn't see them. They're probably bedded down. It got up to 70, 75 degrees, so it was pretty warm. So it was like 3 o'clock. We decided to leave where we were all afternoon and go back to where we seen some in the morning. We went back, nothing out, nothing walking around. We glassed for a couple of hours. Zach got back to where we were. He had left his spotting scope with one of my 10-year-old cousin, Hank, or 11. And so he was using that, helping me look around. Zach came back to the hill that we were on. He just laid down because he was tired after going after his buck. My uncle that was with me had decided to lay down because his eyes were just getting strained from looking all day. And then, so it's just me and my cousin Hank glassing. And he decided, he's like, I'm going to go the other side of the hill and I'm going to look at this other side. Like, all right. And he'd been bugging my uncle all day. Hey, take me coyote calling, take me coyote calling. So eventually my uncle said, all right, if you find Cody a nice buck, I will take you coyote calling. He's like, all right. Like, he was determined to do it. So he went off and he was over by himself. And like 10 minutes later, he came back. Guys, I found a nice buck. And we're like, okay. Like, we didn't really know if we believed him or not. So we went over there, and sure enough, there's this nice whitetail, nice 3x3 and a spotting scope going over a ridge. So my uncle kind of knew where it was or where he thought it was headed. So we went around, and it's pretty close to the same area that Zach's was in, just like one ridge over. So we went up that ridge, tried finding it, and it was even further than we thought. Like, we thought it was going to be on our left. It was over on our right, like about 10 seconds from going over a ridge. So my uncle said, hey, once that thing goes over that ridge, just bust butt and get over there, sprint through this canyon. So it was going over that ridge. We knew it wouldn't really be able to hear me. Wind was kind of going away from us. So started running down this canyon. Like, there's points where I was just sitting on my butt, sliding down rocks because it was pretty steep and going through cactuses. And so get all the way down this canyon, start running up the next hill. It's, I don't know, probably 100 yards up this pretty steep stuff that I was going. So like 3/4 of the way up, I start walking so I can catch my breath a little bit, because I wouldn't be able to make a shot if I'm breathing that hard. Get up, start going slow, or relatively slow. I still knew I had some space. It was probably 30, 40 yards at the top of the ridge where we seen him last. And then, so I look back, my uncle is telling me which way to go and stuff. And so I'm starting to go slower, come up close to the top of the ridge. I can see the other side of the ridge, range it just to kind of see how wide it is and like what I can expect. And it was 108 yards to the top of the next ridge. So I knew I practiced out to 100 pretty much every day. So, I mean, I can probably get a shot if it's still within that canyon. Coming up, almost to the top, I see it down the side that I'm on, probably 50 yards down there. I can just see its head and its antlers kind of turning and looking around. So it knows I'm there. Oh, gotta be quiet. It knows I'm there. Here, go see your uncle. So there's not really much I can do. It takes off. Like, gosh, dang it. So I squat down behind a bush, just hoping it'll stop somewhere. And it goes all the way down the canyon, all the way up the other side, and stops on the top. So I ranged it, kind of shaky. Don't know exactly if I'm actually hitting it with my rangefinder or not. So I ranged it 3 times, 100, 100, 100. So pretty sure I was hitting it. And there was no way I was going to be able to move. I was behind that bush. Anywhere I moved, it was gone. So knocked an arrow right there, steadied it on that front shoulder where I need to shoot and let it fly. Didn't know if I hit it because I can't really see 100 yards. Kind of not great eyesight. So I ran over there hoping 100 yards, maybe it doesn't really know what happened. Didn't see the arrow, nothing, didn't see me. Maybe it just ran a little bit and stopped somewhere on the other side of the next ridge. Ran over there. My arrow was stuck in the ground right where I was standing, and then just nice big spray of blood. So every 4 or 5 feet, just nice big pile of blood. Followed it probably 60, 70 yards, and there he was. So he's dumping blood instantly and didn't make it very far and right through his jugular.
That's a shot.
Yeah, it's a shot. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, if I'm confident shooting out to 100, I shoot a little like 18 by 18 inch black block, then I think I'm confident enough to hit an animal.
Yeah.
I do a pretty good job of not getting too worked up, not shaking too much. I can stay relatively calm, and like Zach couldn't control his leg from shaking.
That is the opposite of me. I'm a total head case, and I freak out when the time comes, and when my buck stood up after that long stalk. You don't want to blow it after you just walk 150 yards in 2 hours. You know, there's a little pressure not to ruin that opportunity, and man, when that buck stood up, I was just on the verge of losing it. You know, my legs were about to give out from underneath me, and you can't hardly breathe. Your heart's going off the hook, and you know, it's a crazy thing, but it's weird. And it was the same thing in Alaska when I shot that big bear with you. As soon as I draw back on an animal, everything kind of goes quiet, and I calm down a lot. And it's kind of a cool feeling because it's like everything just kind of goes away, and you know that's your job. You got to make a good shot, and it's easier once I draw the bow back. But leading up to the second where I draw the bow back, it's mayhem. I freak out.
Well, we didn't have a lot of time to get nervous.
Yeah, that's true. On that thing.
And all of a sudden, it was like, hey, right now. It's right now.
Yeah.
So it's quick.
Exactly. Yeah. No, our situation there or on the bear was kind of run and gun on that bear.
Yeah, that's kind of like mine and Zach's situation in Arizona were kind of opposite too, where his was that super low stock. Ours was sprint after it and come to the top of the hill. It ran away. I had 10 seconds to make a shot before it was going to take off again. So I didn't really have much time to think about it. I just stayed calm, steadied it where I needed to, and let it fly.
My biggest fear have been both like that, where we were making stalks up in the Alpine, and I was making a stalk by myself 2 years ago on a really nice buck, and I thought I had been quiet enough, and I was working down because it's all exposed. You can't see. It's you're out there, but there was a little gully, and I was making down through these rocks, and I'd kicked a couple of rocks, and so I was hoping that it hadn't spooked the deer. And I get down there and I pop up and I don't see it. I thought, man, how long have I been going down here? And how long ago did the deer spook? And so I sat there.
No idea.
I totally just figured it was over, but the deer was still there. It was just still bedded down, and its horns were in the grass. And so I thought, oh man, it's still there. So it stood up. But yeah, same sort of thing. You don't really have time to get nervous.
Yeah.
Versus when you are making a long stalk, and it's exciting. It's exhilarating, because if you don't, it kind of goes back to that primal sort of thing. If it was thousands of years ago, and it was, if I get this deer, my family eats. If I don't, we don't. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went javelina after that. Talk to me about the.
It was actually day one. Actually, we were deer hunting, more of a muley country. We've seen some whitetail and stuff up higher in the hills, but nice muley that we glassed up probably a little over a mile away. Nice big 4x2, super thick on the side. Only had 2 on it though, but really nice big buck. We put a stock on it. Didn't get it. We came within 40 yards of it. The doe spotted us. They busted out to 83, where it stopped for a split second and then took off. So that was kind of a bummer. And it was getting late that day after we failed that mission. And we were just driving the road out from where we were, coming up to a fence. There was a group of like 20, 25 javelina, just all kind of scattered when we pulled up. So we decided to go try to make a stalk on them, and we grabbed our bows. It was just me, Zach, and my 2 uncles at this point. We go start walking through the fence, go try to find them, and they're all kind of still not too far from where we were. So Zach got his first shot. He can tell you about that.
Oh yeah. So we ranged them up, and there's one pig that we picked that I was going to take a shot at, and we ranged him. It was 35 yards. So I dial my sight to 35 and get ready to draw. And I guess they must have winded us or something, because they spooked out and they ran to 50. So they ranged him again at 50, and I dialed at 50, and my only real shot was his head. So, and it's not an ideal shot, but I made a good shot, and took him out right behind the ear, and he hit the dirt, never took another step. So it ended up being a good shot. It's not an ideal shot. I don't want to take it on animals very often, but I felt confident that I could put him out quick with it. So.
Yeah, and then there's still more hanging around, and we've seen some more over to the right. And so Zach got his. I was up. Ranged it 44 yards. It was kind of broadside right underneath a tree, a little mesquite, and put it right through the vitals, right where I needed to put it. And it ran probably 40, 50 yards and piled up, and then went and got them. And they were probably not 10 yards apart from each other.
Yeah. Made it quick.
You get a chance to eat those? Are you part of them yet?
Yeah. Gotta just kind of brine them and soak them a little bit, get all that blood and hair out of them, and not too bad.
Yeah. How'd you have them?
Just ground up sausage.
Okay.
A lot of people make chorizo out of them, but we didn't do that. We just got sausage out of it.
Nice. I'm for my spring bear, I'm gonna try to get some chorizo done.
Nice.
With some sausage. I've done like thin strips. I've ground it up and put in like burger stuff, but I want to spice it up and do some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You add spices to it, man. People, well, it's gamey, it's this and that. If you add spices, you cook it correctly, you take care of it correctly, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's with most game animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our first day, and then last year we went 0 for 4. We didn't get any pigs or deer, so it was nice getting 2 of our animals out of the way on the first day, and then kind of focus on deer for the rest of the trip. And then we got those deer on day 3.
Sweet. What's next? You guys are doing a lot of traveling. You guys are always hunting something, going somewhere. What's next?
We don't really have anything planned. Zach's wedding is in June, so just kind of got to see what he's able to do. There's always the Alpine trip is always a possibility.
There you go, man. It's going to be good. I'm already starting to look at different possibilities: spring bear, black bear, brown bear, and of course, I'll yell about blacktail. It's just so much easier when you're a resident because you don't have to worry so much about cost. It's just a matter of getting to the spot where you might have the best opportunity. The seasons are a lot longer, so
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
not of if, it's just kind of when, and can you put together a trip that's going to mesh with the weather. And so
Exactly.
yeah, the Alpine trip, man, come up August and see what we can do. Or spring bear is great too, because the taste is going to be a lot different. We were cutting up your guys' bear; they weren't too bad, but you could tell they've been eating fish.
Yeah, they weren't too bad yet. I think a little bit later, and it would have been a lot worse.
The fish were fresh, and there was still some grass, and there were berries that were around. Once you get those later ones where you're just eating kind of that rotting fish, then definitely the odor gets so much worse. But
Yeah.
even the hide, wasn't bad at all. Like there was a smell, but it wasn't horrible and grotesque.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
But Ranella talks a lot about those the fat smelling like blueberries, and I haven't smelled one like that because most of the bears that we see are down by the rivers.
Yeah.
I went on an alpine hunt with Jesse, and we didn't end up seeing one. But that high country at the same time, where they're down at the rivers for a little bit and go back up to the alpine, and it's those berries. And I would love to eat a fall bear that was on berries, but just the vast majority of the ones down here are on the rivers. So
Yeah.
that spring with the grass is good to get up here, or at least.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd like to get on a high country bear that's been eating berries too. I think I've heard about it, like you said, from Ranella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those hunts are so much different than your normal hunting shows. When he's up there and it's he does public land stuff where he gets out to areas just by hiking further than the other people are willing to do it. And it's not a package sort of hunt where you paid $15,000 to be guaranteed. So
Exactly.
obviously he does go to spots that it would cost us a lot of money to hunt. He gets it sponsored or whatever, but it's fine. The wildness and getting up there and making those stalks and covering a lot of territory and being willing to do that and being in shape for it is pretty. Pretty crazy.
It's like our bear hunt. I mean, we packed in as far as we did with you, and that paid off in the long run. We not too many people go back in there, and it showed by the bear population that was back there. Not too many people.
I was thinking it because there's some good grassy areas for spring, and so I was thinking about going back there for a spring bear. But it's a hike. It's a hike. There's not elevation change, but it's kind of a funky trail in spots. But that was fun. Were you in better shape for the Arizona hunt than you were for up there? I mean, you were in decent shape, but that's still, you're packing out 100-pound pack for 3, 4, 5 miles. That's pretty heavy.
I'm probably not in any better shape, but I didn't have to be, thank goodness, because the Arizona trip wasn't not even comparable to the Alaska trip as far as difficulty of pack. But the pack out in Alaska was something that I'll never forget. It was 100+ pound packs and in that wet, slippery, nasty terrain we were in, and I'll never forget the feeling when we got back to the boat and I fell into the boat, and it's just hard not to cry after, because it's such a mixed emotion. You're so happy, and then you just accomplished something that you've always dreamed of accomplishing. So it was.
That might be my favorite picture from the trip. Is just you passed out. Like before I even really we get out of the inlet, it's just over. You are done.
Yeah, that was completely real. It doesn't get any realer than that. I'd never wanted to be back to a boat more than ever right there. It was the most brutal thing I've ever done, and I'll never forget it, and I'll do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. If there isn't some level of misery, then it doesn't have as profound an impact on you. If it's all easy and everything goes right, then well, all right.
Yeah.
But it lives up to that expectation a little bit. You got to expect if you're going to come to Alaska and you're going to bear hunt, there's going to be some
misery.
weirdness. There's going to be some misery. There's, the shot at it. We ended up seeing a bunch of bears. But it was funny how, though we saw a lot, we had to pass on some just because things weren't clean. And if you do shoot it, well, it's going to fall right in the river, and then it's going to tumble down. So what are the chances of breathing it? So all that goes into it, but then getting that good shot, finding it, and packing it out. So it's a great story, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a trip of a lifetime, and everything worked out in our favor. And to shoot 2 bear in one backpacking trip was pretty incredible. And our good luck has traveled with us to Arizona, and we've done something pretty special in Arizona too, shooting 2 of them Coues bucks with bows. So
the funny thing about the bear too is after you shot yours, and then we went and got Cody, like, hey, let's check this other spot real quick, and it happened there. So within an hour and a half, 2 bears.
We're done.
Yeah, it was sweet, man. That was crazy. It doesn't always work out with like that, but based on the terrain and based on where we were, it wasn't outrageous to think that this could definitely happen. We're at this spot, and this is a berry spot, and this is a good spot for a bear too. And to see one at each spot and to get those, and we had that extra day, so you guys got 2 days to kind of mess around and look for deer.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better scenario in my bear. I mean, Cody's too, but specifically my bear, how we were set up, and it panned out so perfect with that big old boar walking up the river, and we were able to get in front of him and get it on video too. That's pretty incredible. It's hard to get something on video, and we did.
It was my intuition, my expertise when it comes to knowing the terrain, and that was funny. I've been in a couple of bear hunts, but I know that spot for steelhead fishing, and so just being around that area, fishing steelhead, just being observant to where, okay, if it's going to be bear time, I know my previous experiences within a different context, this is probably what's going to happen, and this is what I've seen before, so it definitely makes sense. But that's a great spot. It's a special area for sure. I need to get up there soon. With basketball, it's tough to get out, but it's a nice spot for sure.
I'd like to. I still haven't got my hands on a copy of the Alaskan Sportsman Journal, or
you didn't?
I haven't got one yet, but I'm going to make sure I get my hands on one of those.
Did you go online and order it, or email that?
Can I go on the internet and buy one?
I think I'll send you the guy's email and see if he can send you a copy. But
yeah, no, I'd like to get a copy of that, because that was a pretty cool trip, and pretty cool to have it in a magazine like that, as the story, to tell the story.
I like the photo essay version of it. I start off writing. It's the writing. It's telling the story through words, but then the photo essay is great because through the images it really tells the story. It's hard to really describe some of these things and the terrain and all the circumstances and everything. So the photo essay part thing is cool, and then the podcast thing is cool too, because you don't have to worry about editing. So you're going to misspeak a lot, and there might be problems with sound or this or that, but it's still just that you kind of feel like you're sitting around a table talking with some people about it, or you're listening to that. And it's challenging in its own way, but it's fun to see it in different ways. And I think the images will be really rich when you look at them, because you'll be able to fill in that moment in time within the context of the bigger trip. Whereas someone else who wasn't there still looks at it and can appreciate it, but it won't be quite the same. But how often do you look through those photos that we got?
Oh, and every time I log into my Instagram, I was watching the video yesterday, just for no reason, just because I just go on my Instagram and watch the video. I mean, I don't think I'll ever in my life have a better black bear hunt than that. I mean, just how picture perfect it was. I don't think it gets any better. You get to go and work that hard and harvest a record book black bear with your bow in a river, and have it on film. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, just wild.
Yeah,
wild. That's the weird thing too. We started this off talking about people who think it's cruel to be so enamored with that moment and be so excited and want to rewatch the moment, or put the animal on the wall. But it is kind of the ultimate respect to the animal when you're looking at the rack of the animal, the beautiful horns, and it's that memory, and it's
it almost feels disrespectful not to have it on the wall, you know.
I totally understand how people could see it as it being really offensive or gross that you have why do you need the fur of the animal on the wall? But the ultimate respect, where if you were to take the meat, eat the meat, and then discard everything else, you're leaving so much of it out there still. I have the deer that I got this year, have the horns, and they're sitting next to each other, and I can look at it in the living room and it's a moment. It's the moment that I had with the people I was with, and the deers and the meats in the freezer, and here's just beautiful horns that each set is different than the next, and in the other room is my bear, and it's on the wall, and you guys will have your rugs too, and it's
the true trophy is in the freezer, but every time I look at the bear skulls on my mantle, it brings back the memories, so that's why we keep those.
Yeah. And I don't think we really have to try to explain or justify. If people are curious and want to really know what it's about, and you can explain, but sometimes people go out of their way to try to justify themselves when, well, why spend that much energy? If people are going to hate you or hate the lifestyle, they're going to do that. If they're open to being educated about how things are and they're open to listen, then you can explain it. But I don't think we should be too apologetic or feel too bad about stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think it's worth our time. I like to explain to people if they're willing to listen. If they're not willing to listen, then it's not worth my time to try to argue. But I'll explain to them best I can why we do what we do, and how what we do is, in my opinion, it's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any closing thoughts for you guys? Next trip, anything like that? Final insight about hunting deer in Arizona, or anything else?
We're thinking about maybe Wyoming. We want to get on some antelope. That'd be fun. I don't know. Cody wants to shoot an antelope too, and
that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah. But I'll probably get some geese in Oregon before that's all over, and nothing too set in stone yet.
Yeah, but we're always looking for the next adventure. We'll be out there soon.
There you go. You guys put in for the Prince of Wales bear tag and then the goat tag that I told you guys to?
Yeah. I don't know if I drew, but put in. When are our results out?
16th of February, I think, is when the results are out. The only thing I put in for this year was the mountain goat. I didn't put in for the elk or anything.
Gotcha.
Just keep it simple, because it's just a harvest tag for black bear, so that's no big deal. And the same thing with deer.
Yeah,
goat would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that'd be a good trip.
It's tough for us with the goats. I mean, we'd have to have an outfitter with us, and that's kind of
that makes it tough.
We're just waiting on you to get your outfitter's license. So
never extra stress, the amount of all that. When it becomes a business, it just takes a lot of the fun away from it. I think it'd be the same thing if I was a professional writer and that was my sole income. Then it wouldn't just be writing on the side as like a side hustle, fun, supplement the income type thing.
Yeah, so just don't make it a business. Just get it for us then.
Yeah, just do it for your buddies.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you bring friends up and you fish or you hunt or whatever, then it's fine. But then once you do make it official, the insurances and all the other do is crazy.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah, it's tough, and I think once you make it your profession, kind of, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it'd be the same for me.
Not as special.
No, it's just a job after that.
It would be nice. You look at Ronell and those other guys. He's kind of the example of the real stuff. You have your film crew that's just documenting what you're doing, and that'd be a lot of fun, and that'd be great. But you wonder if he seems to be the type of guy who has his head on straight and hasn't been commercialized and is still really passionate about it. But you wonder if you do lose a little bit of that emotion from the first stuff, because hunt a lot, but each hunt is different, each experience is different. So
exactly.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things where it's kind of like being a millionaire. It's like, well, I'd like to figure out or see what it's like first before I say, I wouldn't want to be a millionaire. Well, maybe try it and see if I could be the exception to the rule and not be a jerk. But
yeah. Those guys had a heck of a trip, huh? Those guys, Ranella and Remy Warren out there in Fognac.
Oh man, crazy.
Unbelievable getting attacked by a brown bear.
And when they were talking about, there was 5 or 6 of them, and how the bear didn't really know who to go for, which is huge.
Yeah.
But man, I've been thinking about brown bear, and they're just so different than the black bear. I'm not, you're cautious around black bear just because there's that potential for it. And there were 2 black bear attacks that ended in fatalities this last summer.
Yeah.
But with the brown bear, just the way they look at you and everything is so different, so much more aggressive and so much more capable of just jacking you up.
Well, they're massive.
Yeah. And just their demeanor in general, they have a different mindset than a black bear. A black bear isn't nearly as aggressive. A brown bear, it either wants to eat you or just kill you because you're in its area.
Yeah, I can't imagine weeding through brown bears. Like, that one's not quite, because again, it's kind of trophy hunting, yeah, but if you're gonna take one brown bear, then rather than just go shoot the first one you see, take one this is the brown bear. This is the one that I've waited my life for, and if I only get one, this is going to be the one. Get a nice old boar.
Yeah.
But man, I just can't imagine being close range.
I remember there was a moment on our Alaska on our black bear hunt where me and Cody were out on this island, and the grass was probably 6 feet high, and we're weeding through this grass, and I was just thankful that we weren't in brown bear country.
We knew there was probably a black bear on that island with us.
Yeah, and we knew there was probably a black bear, but I was just thankful that there wasn't potential for a brown bear, because it would have been really bad.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I kept that high vantage point, so I could look down and I could see if there was anything else that was moving. Because the tall grass and the bushes were above your guys' head, and I was looking out at the rest of the island, and I didn't see anything move. But there are so many trails in there.
Oh man,
I mean, it was just totally gridded out, and that's the thing. You come around the corner, black bears are pretty docile, but if you come around the corner and it's a sow and cubs, then all bets are off.
Yeah. And it was so noisy that I feel like they probably wouldn't have known we were there until we stepped on them. So just from the river noise.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell too. It gets lost in the bushes, and then the direction can kind of change. So unless they wind you, it's hard to tell where that noise is coming from. So in their panic, they could be running where they think is in a safe direction, but in actuality, it's right toward you guys.
Yeah.
That was. It's a good spot, man. That's a good spot this spring. I'm gonna head out there.
Right on. Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah. Well, I got a little bit of sunlight left, so I'm going to go outside, go on a little hike here. Thanks for sharing the AZ stories there, and we'll have to get you guys back on, talk some more bear, talk some more hunting, talk some more all things outdoors.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a great time. Thank you.
Take care, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, you too.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
That will do it for episode 23 of the Mediocre Alaskan podcast. Make sure you go to themediocrealaskan.com for content, for columns, for other archived episodes of the podcast here. Make sure you go to lmtlifestyle.com, check out the gear, and we will talk to you next time.